start with up in the front here with Zach Alberti.
Coach, just your initial impressions of camp so far and just what you've seen from the team.
No, I think we've made a ton of progress relative to the chemistry of the group, the togetherness of the group. I think we're more familiar with just procedure in general, protocol, much better. I think each part of the organization has kind of ironed out the wrinkles. I thought in particular yesterday we practiced at the pace and efficiency that we'd like to practice at. So still got a group of young players that are doing all these things for the first time. So some familiarity and carryover from spring practice. So, so far so good. We got a lot of work to do, but in general, can't compliment the staff, operations, equipment, the training room, strength and conditioning, the football staff, and certainly the players for their approach. So far so good.
And then you obviously had a new guy join you yesterday, Chris Thomas. What did he do to kind of get an opportunity, and just what does that speak to about you and the staff working with him to afford him that chance?
Yeah, no, just some internal things there from a logistical standpoint relative to his role in the team, his eligibility and ability to participate with the team. So some of those things have been cleared up. Those things took time. Obviously, we'll keep the details in-house there, but we're happy that Chris is back with us and certainly continue his development, his growth, obviously football, but the person and the student, I think it's all really, really important. So Chris is a young player, and, he's got an opportunity in front of him here to continue to improve in all those areas.
And lastly, I know you guys haven't done much, but just what have been your impressions of the defensive line depth specifically, and how much does he help with that?
Yeah, no, I think that's one of the reasons, I think Chris being back's a big deal just for the depth of that group. That's one of the groups where we need to develop some depth. I think both lines of scrimmage, we've got a good 1.5 group, if that makes sense. Who are the next best players? There's a ton of competition there, and there's a lot of roles that are being determined there, right? So this training camp will be critical for both sides of the ball relative to the line of scrimmage, right? So Chris being back will help there, but there's some other young players there that really, when you think about it, have really no experience or very minimal experience. So, I think that's what practice is for, and I think in the game of football in particular, the development takes place in the practice setting. So, that group has got a lot of work to do to get game ready, certain particulars in certain players in particular.
Guys, we can just jump in. Bit of a format change, so let's go ahead and open it for questions.
Obviously, ultimately, you'll be defined on wins and losses, and that's how you kind of measure progress. But when you're in it day to day, hour to hour, minute to minute, how do you measure progress when you've got it so detailed and set up like that?
Yeah, no, it's a good question, Mark. I think that's one of the questions a lot of coaches are asking themselves often. I do think that, what I really think about a lot is, the improvement of each part of the organization, right? The improvement of each individual. I think you got to be system oriented. We use the term journey, right? You've seen that hashtag. And certainly we got a lot of individuals that are going about their business here to improve and grow and develop. I'm evaluating, are we reaching our potential, right? Are we getting the most out of each individual? Are we getting the most out of each part of the organization, right? Are our systems improving? Are we becoming more efficient? Are we making the most of our opportunities, right? I think you got to get consumed with the work, right? A lot of times everyone wants to get consumed with the destination, really believe in creating urgency and focus. What do we need to do today to improve and put ourselves in position, right? We'll look up here in a little bit, but right now, we got to stay in the present and focus on the work that's in front of us.
Billy, you mentioned the word carryover. Are you seeing from spring to now with your veterans guys just instinctively knowing what to do and how to do it at the start of practice, because that's going to be so valuable to your younger guys who look to the older guys coming up.
Absolutely. Much more familiar with our systems. I mean, I think in the summer, we install for the first time an identity program. Then we move into spring practice, which is really the best teaching opportunity that we have because it's spread over 34 days. We practice every other day. We go back and review summer A, then again summer B. So in reality, this is the 5th introduction, of the installations, right? So I think we made a lot of steps forward during the summer. And a lot of that is player-led, right? So I think the ownership at the player level, oftentimes I think the best way to learn is and get comfortable with material is if you can teach someone else the material, right? So what you're describing there relative to a veteran player being able to teach a rookie player, I think there's a ton of value in that. We did that throughout the summer, and I think that my dad used to say all the time, you can talk to him all you want, but if you got a guy that can do it right, you just say, hey, do it like he did it, there's a lot of value in that. So I do think that, we're seeing that take place, right? Veterans being good examples, not only in terms of how they play the game, but also their, self-discipline and how they're approaching the training camp. I think that's a very important part. It's a great question.
Are you seeing the transformation also in bodies because of the strength and conditioning, the change? You basically don't see them for 4 months after it.
Right.
And have you seen good transformation in a lot of bodies that may have been lacking a little bit back in the spring?
I think the numbers would say that. If you really look at the DEXA scans, if you look at the speed improvement, if you look at the velocity training, the 1 rep max, the 3 rep max, all the things that we do to assess improvement, all those areas, okay? And I think it is tangible when you get on the grass again with the players, right? I think we probably have, 12 to 15 in my mind that really have taken some, big steps forward. So, I don't think there's any question that our group did a great job. All the people that contribute to player development, right? The strength conditioning staff, sports science and performance, nutrition, the training room. And then there's a lot of things that Gator may contribute from a leadership standpoint throughout the summer. So it's not only physical, but I think it's a lot of the intangibles. And we all know that, in this game, I think that's at least half the battle, if not more.
Any early impressions as far as, timing between quarterbacks and receivers? We've seen some of that, and I guess, they did the work in the summer, and any receivers standing up.
Yeah, no, we've thrown and caught the ball well. We've got a good group of players at that position. I think some of the newcomers have impressed. But overall, I would say the receiver position there's going to be a ton of competition, right? I think we've got a lot of players that are in similar places in their career. And I think that group, they're going to be competing not only throughout training camp, but I could see that being weekly competition, right? So it's going to be a very competitive group, much like a lot of the positions on our team, so very pleased there. There's definitely been a lot of work done in the summer. You can see that right away.
Availability of Jaden Hill.
Jaden Hill is currently not able to participate. Okay, I think a little bit of that is to be determined based off his recovery, the rehab process. I think we commented on that in Atlanta at SEC Media Day, but Jaden was injured. Obviously, we'll keep you guys up to date as his rehab process continues there, but we anticipate getting him back later.
On the same note, a couple of guys in black jerseys out there. Are you able to provide updates on them, specifically Richard Garage?
Yeah, nothing major there. Very minor issues. We anticipate getting, I think Richard Dakota maybe is the other player. We anticipate getting those guys back here shortly.
I think he came in 9 days after his injury, so you kind of been there through the process of surgery and rehab. That's a bad injury for any position, much less a running back who's cutting.
Right.
What did you have to see out of him at certain intervals, spring and summer, to get him cleared?
Yeah, no, Naquan is on schedule. You know, he's done a great job. I mean, I think Naquan is one of the players that I respect the most on our roster. You know, I think he is real. I think he lives life with integrity. He is who he says he is. You know, he's very consistent in his attitude. His actions match up with his words. You know, he's a proven player. He's been productive in a game setting here. This place means something to him. He cares about his teammates. So I think Naquan's one of the players in our team that has a voice that does have impact. And certainly for him to get healthy and have an opportunity to be effective on the field and produce on the field, I think is really healthy for our team. So Naquan's on schedule, and we're excited about him being back out there.
Anything you can gauge physicality-wise, or is it just pre-pads? Is it kind of hard, or do you see anything?
No, I mean, time will tell. I mean, I'm not concerned about the physicality of this group. I mean, you know, we don't have that problem. You know, I think, you know, today we'll put shells on. Obviously, we're working our way through kind of this. We'll ramp it up, you know, per the NCAA rules here. So we're in shells today, practice 3. We'll do that again, practice 4, and then we'll put full gear on practice 5. But, you know, I think this group embraces physicality. They embrace toughness. They love to compete. You know, you can sense that when you're on the grass with them. That won't be a problem here.
Guys, last question after.
Hey, Billy, it's kind of a big picture one. We spoke this past off season. Like when you got to Alabama in 11, it was kind of an eye-opener for you, seeing the way Nick Saban runs his operation. Obviously, his blueprint has been implemented many places, and I'm sure you're taking pieces of that. What is the challenge of taking what he does, that blueprint that's obviously been so successful, and being able to have success with it yourself?
No, I mean, I think, you know, I've been very blessed, man. I'm fortunate. You know, I've worked with and played for and worked for a lot of great coaches. You know, I mean, I think that going all the way back to being a young person, growing up in the home of a high school coach, right? I mean, you know, this game, you know, he chose it as a profession, right? I mean, I grew up in the hip pocket of my dad, right? I got 2 brothers that coach high school football. I think my sister probably would coach high school football if you let her, right? So we, you know, we've been lucky. Not only did we grow up with passion for the game, you know, the opportunities that come with the game, right? I mean, this game it gives you, it's a great platform relative to impacting people. It can be the difference for young people, right? I mean, I appreciate that about the game, the lessons that it can teach, right? And, you know, if you look at my career, I mean, I've worked for some really exceptional head coaches, you know, Tommy Bowden, Buddy Pugh, Dabo Sweeney, you know, Jim McElwain, Nick Saban, Todd Graham, to take all these things and, you know, kind of make it your own, right? I think that's what we've tried to do, right? Our identity, our personality. Take the things that you think fit you, that you think will be effective for your team. But, you know, one of the things about Coach Saban that I really respect is he continues to evolve, right? He continues to adapt, right? His ability to adjust to the current climate, right? And it's no different. I mean, we just did it at the University of Louisiana for 4 years. Everything didn't fit there, right? I mean, so this journey will be no different. You know, I think we learn something every day, right? What works here, what doesn't, you know. And, you know, the number one thing that people forget is not just the head coaches that you work for, man. I mean, it's that all-star team of assistant coaches and support staff that are all over the country. It's a great network. You can learn. You can pick up the phone. I think you got to continue to be a lifelong learner, right? You got to, I mean, everything I know I stole from somebody else, right? So got to remain humble enough to admit that and continue to adapt, right? And that's certainly what we're doing here. And I've said this many times. You get put in these leadership positions, the number one thing you need to do is surround yourself with really good people, right? And I think that's what we've done here. And that's what gives me more confidence as each day goes by, right? I think I see, you know, our culture evolving here, and it's at the core of that, it's because of really good people.
Thank you, Coach. Thanks
All right,
for
guys, thank you all.
minutes.